Retailers are hoping Christmas shoppers will return to England's high streets. Just talking about that, weren't we, following the end of the lockdown. Talking about it in more detail now, joined by John Caudwell, businessman and founder of, as many of you know, of Phones for You. Hello to you. Thanks for joining us on the programme this morning.
Good morning.
I was reading stuff in the papers this morning comparing what's happening at the moment to just after the war, and also talking about never having such a seismic shift in the high street since what happened with Woolworths during the last crash. Would you think that those were reasonable comparisons?
I would say it's a more seismic shift, and it was always due to happen because ever since the invention of the internet, the online business was going to grow and grow and grow. But that was always going to be an evolution. And every retailer needed to take online very seriously and grow that business. But instead of it being an evolution, it's now been a revolution. And of course, what we've seen is a dramatic shift from the high street to online. And that's forced, of course, by Corona, but it's absolutely put the high street into dramatic crisis.
But we saw this coming, didn't we?
Well, we didn't see Corona coming. We certainly saw the evolution.
Online coming, didn't we?
We saw what coming?
Online.
Oh, absolutely, yes. No, I mean, every retailer needed to have a big online presence. I set mine up in Phones for You in 1995, and we grew it like fury. But the retail presence was still the most important, but I was ready and poised to take as much online business as there would ever been. But some retailers are not ready. You know, they've not developed their online businesses. But even if they had, the problem is that they're left with a huge number of stores that have got massive rents and massive rates. And even with a very prosperous online business, their model wasn't suited to that. And they can't just get out of those leases that they've got on those stores. So they were absolutely trapped. And you're going to see a lot more high street retailers go out of business before this is over, because we are in an evolutionary phase. And on top of that, now we've got the pandemic revolution.
There was some criticism when I was speaking to Michael Gove yesterday about the way Arcadia has been run. And of course, we've seen what's happened with Debenhams as well. Would you echo that criticism?
Well, I'm not an expert on Arcadia or Debenhams, but, you know, the problem is the same problem that I've just mentioned, really. It's the simple fact that they were hadn't got a big enough online presence, were trapped into leases, but also it seems that they were not that relevant today and they hadn't kept up with the times, and newer brands had taken over from them. So they were already in an ailing business before. They didn't have enough online presence, trapped into these huge leases, and then, of course, the pandemic comes along and it just completely wipes them out.
But you've come up with a plan, haven't you? A recovery plan that you're lobbying the government to introduce. Tell me about it.
Well, there's a lot of component parts on that, but Caudwell Pandemic Recovery is all about regeneration of the UK economy by borrowing very, very cheap money, which is a unique situation in the history of the UK. We can now borrow at virtually zero cost, invest in the future, and there's four main cornerstones to that. 500,000 apprenticeship schemes with world-class companies for 3 to 5 years. Inward investment, trying to attract every foreign company that we can to set up on our shores, a green energy city where we attract brains from all over the world to try and create green energy and any product related to green energy, and of course just investment in infrastructure in general. If we do all that, we're still going to be in for a very tough few years ahead of us. But what will happen is suddenly we'll leap forward in growth, and in 10 years' time, the UK will be massively prosperous and can be on a better trajectory than it would have been without pandemic. But if we don't do this, and if we don't grasp this nettle firmly and make it happen, then the UK is in for a very, very tough ride for many years to come.
OK, good to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Thank you.